Hello everyone, it's Andrea and welcome back to my channel. I am going to be working on and sharing a 4th of July themed layout with you in this video. And I am going to try to get all of these photos onto a double paged layout. And there's a lot of photos here because there's 2 on 1. I've got to cut these apart. I plan on doing that with the aid of a sketch from our creative design team sketchbook. This is our 12 by 12 sketchbook. I think this is volume 1, and there's a lot of photos that can be fit on this layout according to this sketch. So that's what I'm going to be working with. And I want to show you the products that I want to use. First of all, it's 4th of July, so I'm thinking this Round We Go stamp set and die collection are going to be just perfect. There's just so many good images. They kind of remind me of, you know, fireworks and a celebration and time to celebrate and hip hip hooray. These will be perfect for 4th of July. There's also the dies. And what's fun about these, I've already got some washi tape. There's lots of them. They form great bursts and they look like fireworks to me. And so that's why I'm so intrigued by these. There's also this really cool die here, and it makes pinwheels. So you can have a pinwheel with a pointy edge or a pinwheel with a scalloped edge. It's up to you. I'm going to show you how I'm going to use those as we go through the video as well. The paper collection that I think I'd like to use is this Countryside Inn. I've taken it out of its little holder here. And let me just scoot these photos to the side just a bit. I think you can tell I'm just going to bring in this one photo. This is such a sweet paper pack. I thought I was going to use it for engagement photos that I had of my daughter Katie and her husband James, but I think that I want to use it here too. I just think it's a real Americana kind of package here, and just love the variation in all the patterns. There's a lot of good subtle prints, but then there's these really bold floral prints that I think will be just beautiful. You can see those here and here. I'm thinking about bringing in real red. I'm going to use Night Navy, and then I'm not so sure about the blue. I have some older Stampin' Up cardstock that I'm going to bring in. I'm going to make lots of those pinwheels and bursts out of the die set. So I'm going to see what color goes well. I'd love to show you how to make these rosettes. These are going to be the embellishments on my page. We're going to use the Round We Go dies, and I have cut out, as you can see here, I've cut out several of the items, and I'm planning on making little bursts that look like fireworks to me. They're kind of patriotic, and I have found the paper. It is ballet blue, this lighter blue that you see here. So ballet blue, Night Navy, real red. I want to show you how to make the rosette. So I'm going to just pull off this long rosette piece. Now, you can use 2 rosettes, 2 of these cuts to make a rosette. You can use 3 if you want it more fuller. I like the 2. You can even cut this in half if you'd like and use 1 to make a smaller rosette. But for our purposes, we're going to have 2. So I've already gone ahead and cut 1 and folded it. I'm going to just bring in my little platform here for my Stampin' Up mini die cut. And I cut 1 3/4 inch wide strips of 11-inch paper off of my Night Navy cardstock, and I can get 2 here. And I wanted to give myself a little wiggle room from left to right, but you'll get 2 out of 1 3/4 inch strip. So I'm just going to lay that down on my die cutting machine. Got some washi tape to hold it all in place, and then I'm just going to seal this up, and we're going to run this through. Like I've said before, I actually really like this mini die cutting machine because I don't have to crank for 13 inches. It's just easy. However, it doesn't clamp down to my workspace as well as the Close to My Heart one did. But for convenience sake, it's easier to work with. So look at how perfectly these dies cut using this little machine. Now, the one thing I can say is that you always want to start with the end piece that is kind of cut here, and you always want to fold them in the same direction or they're not going to match up. So I'm going to just start by folding that back. Now, there's no right or wrong way to fold it. It's just make sure that whatever you've done to the first one, you do to the second one, so that this way your little tabs hook into each other neatly and nicely. If I was to have folded this down instead of up at first, if I was to have a mountain instead of a valley, I would have had a different it wouldn't have matched well. And there we go. So the next thing that I want to do is just to basically put a little adhesive on these tails. So I'm going to start with the one here. And I'm just using some old liquid glass from Close to My Heart. And I'm going to put these together. So I'm just sliding that one tab under the other. And we're going to give that a minute or two to really adhere. I'm going to pick that up and make sure it's really attached. I'm standing it on my glass board here because then I can make sure that these are at the same height. And there we go. So we're just going to make sure that can fold back in place. There we have it. And then we're going to do the same thing here. I want to put a little liquid glass on the little lip here. I'm going to tuck that tab right behind this fold here, this little pleat. So to line them up, I'm just standing it up, making sure it's at the same height. I'm going to hold this for a moment. Okay, let's set that aside. I'm just going to bring in my paper trimmer. Now, this is how I prefer to do it. I know people use glue dots and stuff like that. I am just going to cut. I basically need like a little circle or square. I was playing with my dies here. Some of these dies are really cool. I hope that you can see it. Here you can just take out circles. I'm going to use that instead of using it as a decorative piece. I just didn't know how that would turn out, so I was playing with it. I'm just going to cut away the other piece here, and we're going to use that as our little base for our circle. It does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be pretty. Just a little, you know, 1 3/4 inch square would do it. So let's hope that this is glued down well enough that I can now pop it open. So here's my plan. I want to flip it so that the tabs, the messy part, are, you know, up for me. So I'm just going to make sure here that I have the tabs. Let's see. Can I find them? Yep. Here's a tab. So I want to see the better, you know, all the scallops on the front. I don't want to see that tab. So that's what I'm calling the back. Now I'm just going to put a lot of adhesive down here. I want to catch like every single one of these little scalloped petals. So I'm going to push this together the best that I can right now. Not that big a deal because we're going to flip this puppy over in just a minute. And I'm going to take the glued part and flip it on top here. Okay. Now holding this careful, I'm sliding this off my glass board and I'm flipping the whole thing over. So now it's right side up. So from here, I'm just going to press down on this for a few moments. And then I will just, you know, put the bottle on top or something when it has, you know, when it's holding pretty well, but just needs a little more time to dry. So I will set that aside. I have decided to use one of the stamped images from my Round We Go set. I'm just going to pull this in for you to see which one I'm speaking about. I want to use this just to create a little bit of background texture. We're not going to see much of this white cardstock, but that is the little image that I'm going to bring in. And I have some Balmy blue ink from Stampin' Up. And I am just going to gently tap in that. And I just want to put a few little accent details here. So here is the piece that's going to go on the top of the page right there. And I just want to put a little spot there, maybe a little spot here, then one up here. Let me turn this, and then maybe one just about here. Just want a few instances of seeing this little stamp. So let's close this up. Always a trick trying to get these closed without getting ink on my fingers, but I think I did okay here. And now it's just simply a matter of putting these cardstock pieces down where they belong. So I'm just going to start building my page. So I'm going to start actually with the right page. So this is going to go right down on the bottom. And in that sketchbook, you can still get those sketchbooks. In that sketchbook, it gives you the measurements. It makes cutting a breeze. You'll see this is just such a great idea. This was not a layout that I designed, and one of the other girls in the design team did. I love it. Just love how many photos. So you're going to see how easy it is to create this. just by following that sketch. So I only had to cut a couple of pieces of paper, and then the rest are like little decorative accents here that we're going to add to build this page. Okay, so we have our top and bottom. Now the one thing that this sketch didn't call for was anything right here. Now let me show you what happens when I bring in my pieces. Just going to tape these down as well. And I just thought that I'm centering this from left to right, I should say. I thought it could use just a little pop of color up in this area. So I have some really, really old strips. I've been working on a project. This was the 4 Seasons Summer from Close to My Heart. If you have ribbon, if you have anything, you can use it in place of this and it will work beautifully. So I just want to add a strip of this up here. I just felt like I needed a little pop of red. So like I said, ribbon, a sticker, a zip strip, whatever you have will work. Just grab it. So this is just a little Love My Stash. This is really a scrap that I should have thrown out, but it's just sitting on my work surface, so it's going to get used. And it's just a little something. Isn't it amazing how this paper just works? I just love this cardstock from Stampin' Up, and it just, this little touch just gives it that pop of contrast that it needs. I'm going to set that aside, and then this one is just going to go down here because it's the same cardstock measurements on the top and the bottom, and this one is going to go up on top on this layout. So again, I'm just placing this piece of cardstock up at the top now and just kind of centering from left to right. So you can see there's not very much of this stamped pattern, but it's just enough to, you know, give your eye a little something to look at. And the only thing I think is that I might end up having to add just a little bit more over here. And that's what I was looking for, just something a little bit more. It just ended up being covered too much by our patterned cardstock. Those are the bases. I mean, that was really simple, wasn't it? So now we're just going to build. We're going to bring in our photos. So I've got the stack of photos here, and I am going to start with the largest photos. I think that's always the best way to go. I even print my photos this way. I decide which photos I like the best and make those the biggest out of all the photos that a sketch would call for. And I go from there. So that's how I always work my designs. Biggest photos, best photos get the biggest billing. And this one with its, you know, Bella with her red, white, and blue floaty, it just worked so well. So now we have this photo. It's another big one. This is going to go up here, right about there. I think I want to show just a little bit of that pattern. So that's going up in the corner. So far, so good. This is our next biggest photo. That's going to go down next. And I just made a thin border of ballet blue paper. Again, really old paper, really old cardstock. Over 20 years, I've had this in my stash. And a few times I thought, you know, I should really lighten my load, and I didn't. And now I'm so happy because I'm just going to use what I have of Stampin' Up. And whether it's old or new, I'm sure you guys can relate. Some of you might have, you know, been a demonstrator for a long time and might have this in your stash. So I just wanted to show you it works pretty well for these photos up here. Okay, so this photo is going to go right about there, nice and neat. So we got a little 3x3 photo. I should mention these were all, you know, all trimmed just a bit, which is something that I don't generally do, but it worked really well. So now this photo, I'm going to leave just a little portion down here because we're going to slide another photo behind it. This one's going to go right in here. We'll line those up. And then this photo is going to be just slanted just a touch, and it's supposed to slide just a little bit behind this photo like that. So that works. And now we have just a few more. So this photo of Katie and James is going to kind of go a little bit slanted down in this corner. Kind of like that. I like that we've got a lot of straight and then a few little crooked ones. Now we're going to have some embellishments up here. And so I want to keep this photo out. I do have a flip flap planned. And I'm so thankful that Stampin' Up! Has decided to carry some flip-flops. That made my day when I saw that. So 3x4 flip-flops might still be available. So here's the plan. I'm going to lay down this photo of Emma and Bella. That's going to get put right there. And then I've got 2 more photos right here. And these are going to go in a flip-flop. And in fact, I thought I had taken the flip-flop out. It's somewhere on my workspace. And it's going to get slid into a flip-flop. And then that flip-flop is going to attach onto my page protector at the end. So basically, these photos are going to, first of all, I have to trim them down just a little bit. They're a little bit too big. So you're going to see the mat, but they're going to just flip up and down. Okay. Isn't that fun? So that's what flip-flops are for. But these I'm going to set aside for now. And you're just going to see this. So you won't see 2 tubes. I think that would be a little redundant. What I would do is I would not have put these photos next to each other if that were the case. I would have made this maybe a photo to go on this page. I just think that things that are like need to be spread out. For instance, I have a big picture of Katie and James right here. And this was at the dinner table. And I love this. But I didn't want to put Katie and James right next to each, you know, put this little photo here. So I put my mom and dad instead. I just think having 2 of the same next to each other doesn't work. So again, this will be covered with other photos. So that's why I put them across the page. I just think that that helps move your eye. Here, it just kind of, you get stuck right here. It's nice to have it in the flip-flop, but not on top. I hope that makes sense. Right now we have 9 photos on the page, and I'm putting on 2 more. So we're going to have 11 photos on this page. I think that's a really good amount. You could always add more in flip-flops. You could put a flip-flop on any of these pretty much outside of the ones that are underneath, and you could put many more photos into one layout. And that's why I love flip-flops so much. Now, let's get looking at our little embellishments. I've got them all in a little tray here. I'm just looking at the sketch. Now, the sketch called for just 2 big elements. I think that we're going to add more than 2. I want 3. And so I think I'm going to make up the 3rd by putting it down here. Now, I don't want to cover the ability for the flip-flap, so this one will go probably about here. I just think that that is a better balanced layout than having just the 2. There's supposed to be a couple small stars and some journaling strips. We have plenty of room to journal over here. I just like that. So we've now created our big triangle of elements. So those I'm just going to really glue down to the page. We're just going to put some adhesive back on each of these, and 1, 2, 3, we'll be done with these. I had toyed with putting different elements on these. I cut out some of these white circles out of the dies, and you know, thought maybe I could stack things up, but then they just got to be almost too big, too much. So I think what I want to do is maybe, I'm going to just see. I'm thinking I just want to cap those with just the red. I don't know that I want them super overwhelming. Now we're supposed to have 2 elements here. I have 3 of these. I'm just going to glue those right on. There are bigger and smaller dies in this little set. I'll show you right here. There's a big one and a small one. This one is pointy. This one is scalloped. And like I said, you could flip the way you push your rosette down, and you could have points. I like how those work together because they became like interlocking pieces. So if you had the bigger piece, the scalloped piece is the smaller piece. Here's the bigger piece. It's pointy. The scalloped one is smaller. When you put a little glue, they line right up. They kind of connect with each other. And I love how that looks. So I'm just going to go ahead and put down just a tiny bit of glue in between. I had toyed with the idea of putting some foam tape in between the layers, but then they didn't lay down flat. They looked more like a flower. So you could do these, you know, and make them look like flowers too. It would be a beautiful accent for a page. But for my purposes, I just wanted to have them kind of flat. And these are going to go on the page too. So I have just a few that I want to put here and there. Use these as my decorative elements in lieu of the stars. The other thing that I thought is on some of these, I could even do this if I wanted. So maybe that's what I'll do. Let's see if we elevate this just a bit with a piece of foam. Let's see what that looks like. So I'm just going to put a dot on the back of this little firework piece. and see what it looks like if I elevate this off of its little base. Now, that's a good way to use them. I do like the way that looks. The white is subtle, but it kind of grounds this piece, and I still need room for a title. So that'll give us a place for some room, a little bit of room to place that title. That's what I'm trying to get out here. I kind of like that we have, you know, the little stars peeking out here. We've got some stars there that kind of goes with that cluster. And then, like I said, we have room to journal and we have room for a title. So that will probably become a Cricut title. And then I think somewhere I might sneak in a little piece that says hip hip hooray. I'm just seeing where I could place one of those. I think maybe down here. Again, journaling will go here. So hip hip hooray works. Time to celebrate works. We could use any of these to create, you know, a little bit more decorative elements. And I think we'll be done as soon as I get that title. So we'll come back and take a look at this page. I decided to bring in my outlined alphabet and outlined numbers for my title. I was trying to cut a title on the Cricut and I was having a hard time with the Stampin' Up paper. And so I decided I would just go old school and cut using the die cutting machine. Now, what is my completed layout? I love how it turned out. I backed the little starburst here, the little fireworks, with a little white backing. Like I told you, I'd cut those out. I have taken my Bluebell loose sequins. Now, I know there's going to be tons of embellishments that you could use. And like I said, I'm just getting started with Stampin' Up. So I have some, you know, some papers and I have some stamps. I haven't gotten into all of the little embellishments. So I'm going to use what I have in my stash and I encourage you to do that as well. But in any case, the Bluebell sequins look something like this. So I picked out a solid blue and white. I didn't go with the iridescent ones that were in here. So there is my title. I like that it's mostly blue with that little pop of red. I used a ruler to line it up and I put the bigger pieces down first and then I put the outlines around them. That just made it a whole lot easier to lay down this title. I have put some little sequins into the center. So each of these fireworks got a blue sequin. Each of the big ones got a white sequin. And then I snuck in some baby sequins along the sides here. The stamping from that Round We Go stamp set, Hip Hip Hooray, worked perfectly. And I did stamp that in the Balmy blue ink that we used right here on the sides with the little bursts. And here is the other page. Again, I have put the little tiny sequins here. And over on this side, I have backed this one with one of those white pieces as well. I think it just helps it pop off the page a bit. And now I have room for the journaling. But who would have thought that this beautiful floral paper could work so well? I'm pretty surprised myself with how nicely this all came out. And like I said, we'll have a flip flap here to, you know, to extend our photo spots, and you could add more flip flops as needed. All in all, I'm so thrilled with how this layout came together. I hope that you are too. Using that pattern from the Creative Design Team sketchbook, it just took all of the guesswork out of it. All I had to do was pick the papers that matched my photos. And I love how it turned out. So I will link the products that are available. I will link the papers. I will link the Round We Go stamps and dies. I will link the Creative Design Team sketchbooks down below as well. So I hope that this has inspired you to look at these as fireworks. In any case, I want to thank you for stopping by my channel. And if you're not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you won't miss any of my upcoming projects that I have to offer. And thanks for watching. Have a creative day.